Hi, I'm Dan Schmitt. I do a weekly television show called Team Chicago Challenge. My website is teamchicago.tv, teamchicago.tv. We're in Rosemont, Illinois, Donald Stevens Center. This is the Muscle Car and Corvette National for 2018. Great looking Studebakers. In the next 20 minutes or so, I'm going to talk to a bunch of the Studebaker folks here. They got some very important cars, very interesting cars, and some great Corvettes and one great Pontiac. So this is pretty intense. Pay attention and don't forget my website, teamchicago.tv.
Right in the entrance area of the Donald Stevens Convention Center, I spot this 1961 Studebaker truck with a race car on the back. We'll be looking at that a little later. The Muscle Car and Corvette Nationals. Right in the entrance to the hall, I spot this 1956 Corvette Sebring Racer. This had a prototype 4-speed transmission, a 331 V8 engine. It was displayed at Nicky Chevrolet. Now, who besides me remembers when Nicky Chevrolet was on Lawrence Avenue by Troy? But anyhow, this car is a 331 V8 engine, dual air metering, fuel injection, a 36-gallon gas tank. It was race ready to go, and this is really a very special Corvette. 1956, looks gorgeous. What a gem to walk into when you walk into the Muscle Car and Corvette National. And now we're looking at a few more Corvettes. I think this one is a 61. The front end looks like that 56, except it has dual headlights and it has a different tail section. That tail section eventually evolved into the 63 Stingrays. And I had the opportunity to look at 3 of these C2 Corvettes, starting with this 1965 with a 396 engine and a number on it. And I had a chance to talk to the owner of this beautiful racing Corvette.
Hi, I'm Tom Dingman. I live in Michigan, north of Detroit. I restored a 1965 M22 Corvette starting in November of 2014 and finished it up this year. When I found the car, it had 3 layers of paint on it, had several different numbers for racing SCCA and Pennsylvania hill climbs. And I found a second owner in Carlisle, Pennsylvania, and he provided a lot of old photos. Sam Armstrong's his name. He's still alive and kicking in Carlisle. And Sam and his wife were very generous with the photos and the history of the car. So that's why I put number 74 on this car. I also found the first owner, the deceased first owner. I found his mechanic, and his name is Jim Dancer. Jim provided me with some parts off of this car from way back in 1965 when they first started doing hill climbs in the PHA, Pennsylvania Hill Climb Association. Jim has become a great friend, and I see him every time we go down to Carlisle for the Corvette event there. Finished this car up with the help of 2 good friends in Michigan, and we've had it here for the first time really for show in Chicago.
Thank you, Tom. And now we spot this beautiful 67 Corvette Roadster all the way from Massachusetts, and I had the opportunity to talk to the owner of this survivor. Let's talk to Bob Connolly.
My name is Bob Connolly. It's a 1967 red Roadster. It's a 300 horse, and what makes it unique is it's a real side pipe car. I have the tank sticker, the original protector plate, all 4 of the original keys. It's an unhit body. It has received the Bloomington Gold Benchmark, Survivor, and Bloomington Gold Awards. It's also has a top flight NCRS, and in addition to that, I have also passed the performance verification test, and at the National next July, I will be going for my Duntov Award in the car.
So what's the chance of finding a car that unique?
I found this car in 2010 at a Bloomington event in St. Charles, Illinois. I had another original car there for the Survivor Award, and I tried to buy it then, and I stayed in touch with the original owner for the 8 years, and I finally was able to buy it this past May. I am the 4th owner of the car. The car has 36,000 miles on it. It has been preserved very well. The interior, the convertible top, phenomenal condition.
Thank you, Bob, as I spot another 67 Corvette, but this one is a coupe, and it's got a big block engine with 3 deuces. And I had a chance to talk to the owner, Steve Walker, from New Mexico.
So it's a 67 Corvette, 427, 435 horse. The uniqueness of the car is the color. They only made a few in triple blue. To my documents, it's the only one. And I have an original window sticker, original tank sheet, and the original protector plate. Low mileage car, 49,000 original miles.
So tell me, if you got the original sticker, how inexpensive were these Corvettes?
It was less than $6,000 in the day. And the uniqueness of this car is the original owner is still alive in Billings, Montana. So yeah, it's pretty special. So anyhow, it took me about 3 years to restore it, give or take. And parts are getting harder and harder to find for these cars, and that's what really slows the process down. That and money. So anyhow, that's kind of what it is.
Thank you, Steve. What a gorgeous Corvette. And as I scan the hall, this is the Muscle Car and Corvette National. The folks that put this together find very important and unique cars that are part of the automotive history in the good old USA. I had a chance to look at 2 particular muscle cars. One of them is a 1970 Challenger with a Hemi. The other car is a 1962 Pontiac Catalina that competed in the pure oil and economy trials in Daytona in 1962. But let's first talk to Eddie George, and he's going to tell us about this Challenger RT.
Hi, my name is Eddie George. I'm from Mokina, Illinois. This is my 1970 Challenger RT with a Hemi added in it. We race at the Pure Stock Muscle Car Drags with this car. Turns 12-second times, mid-12s. Pure Stocks is a fun family event. It's in Stanton, Michigan, and it's once a year, every September. And we have a ball with it. The Pure Stock Muscle Car Drags is pretty much factory fresh cars to showroom specs. You're allowed a few modifications, but it's pretty minor. So these cars are actually, raced how they would come from the factory. Dan asked me if Hemis came in a 70 Challenger, and they did. This car is not a factory Hemi car, but it would have been offered in 1970. This car is basically an RT V5 Blue Challenger that was a 383 car that the Hemi was added into it to compete in the pure stock racing.
Thank you, Eddie. And now we're looking at a Catalina sedan, 1962, Super Duty for the Pure Oil Company. Back in '62, Pontiac sent down 3 Catalinas to be tested at Daytona Beach in the pure oil and economy trials. This car is going to be uncovered on Saturday. I'm here on Friday during the setup. So we won't get to look at the car, but we do get to see a picture of the car when it was in the junkyard. The owner of this car saved this car from being scrapped. I had a chance to talk to the owner, and I talked to the man that helped him restore this car, a gorgeous Catalina.
I found some parts at a swap meet, and it was 4-speed stuff, like Pontiac, big Pontiac 4-speed stuff. And I kept it for a little while, and then I decided to put the parts on eBay. So I listed the stuff on eBay, and I started getting hits, and a guy emailed me and said, "Where'd you get those parts?" And I said, "Well, I bought them at a swap meet." He said, "Well, somebody parted out a Super Duty." So right away, I ended the auction. I didn't sell the parts. Contacted the guy, and I talked to him a little bit, and I said, "Well, I need to find out where the guy's at that sold me the parts." So I finally got a hold of the guy that sold me the parts, because he's at a lot of the swap meets I go to, and he told me where the car was. And it took me a few weeks, but I told my wife one Saturday, I said, "Let's go for a ride. We need to find out about this." So sure enough, I drove up there, and there the body sat in the junkyard in the weeds. So I took a picture of the bin, and I sent it to the guy, my contact, that knew what the Super Duty VIN numbers were, and sure enough, he verified it was the pure oil test car. He said, "That's a special car, you need to get that." So I talked the guy out of it, and loaded it up, and took it home. And then the process of restoration started, and I contacted Scott Tiemann, and his crew went to work.
We had done, I'd have to count them, but we've done 20 or so early Super Duty cars. So Dwayne contacted us after he found this car, and all excited about restoring it, and it was missing the frame and the engine. And I said, "Well, about 5 years ago, a man had contacted me. He was building a clone Super Duty, and we did stainless and different things for him. And he said that he had went and looked at a frame and an engine that was to a 62 Super Duty, but it was in poor condition, and he decided he really didn't need it for his clone he was building." So I called him, and he says, "I've still got that phone number." So I got that number to Dwayne. Dwayne went and contacted that fella, and checked the VIN in the frame, and it was the frame and the engine to the body that he found in the junkyard. The two had obviously gotten separated at some point, so Dwayne bought the frame and the motor, and so now we had all the pieces to restore this thing. And then over the course of some years, Dwayne started buying NOS parts that he could find, and it took us about a year and a half to restore the car for him. And the challenge really was finding all those pieces to put them back together. Once that happened, it was normal restoration process. So it turned out great. It was neat that something so special in the Pontiac community, the Pontiac hobby, got found in a junkyard. We were just thrilled to be able to restore it. But
the day that I found it, they were going to actually crush the car. The guy said, "If you're interested in this body, you need to go talk to that guy on the crane," and so we ran over there, and we looked up at the guy and said, "Don't crush that white car over there." And he goes, "Which one?" I said, "The one in the corner. Don't crush it." So if I hadn't have gone that weekend, that car would have been gone. There's no doubt about it. But it took 7 years looking for parts, and I'd take little things up to Scott, little by little, we'd restore them, and
once we finally got the big body, then I think we worked on it for about a year and a half, once we got the whole project. But like he said, initially he'd bring up the transmission or the steering box or small components, and we'd restore those things and wrap them and have them on the shelf ready. And then once he brought the whole body, and then we did it, in a relatively efficient manner. But it was neat. What a thrill to find something like that.
The pure oil I didn't know what it was either when I found the car. What it was the oil companies back in the 60s wanted you to buy their oil. So what they would do is have the manufacturers send them a car prepped for these tests that were performed at the Daytona International Speedway. They did braking, handling, economy, and acceleration. And this is the car that GM prepped for that. The first 3 Super Duties that were built in late '61, and the first 3 cars were built for the pure oil trials. No one's ever heard of the the first two cars. Mine's the third one built. And if they ever show up, it'd be amazing. But they could have gotten crushed. We don't know. But basically, that was what it was for. It was for the cars to be tested using their oil.
And apparently the Pontiacs dominated at this particular event that year in '62. The braking, acceleration, handling, and economy, the handful of Pontiacs that were sent down there pretty much dominated the competition that year. So really, you know, they were well-engineered cars for sure in 1962. They dominated the whole competition.
Thank you, gentlemen. What a great story. And now we're looking at a 1961 Studebaker truck, and on the back is a R2 Lark. It is a supercharged 289 Studebaker Lark drag racing car. Studebaker, symbol of superiority. And I had a chance to talk to the owner, Ted Harbit.
Ted Harbit. I got a 61 Studebaker Transtar truck, ton and a half, that I bought down in the hills of Kentucky several years ago, about 1980 something. And then about 20 years ago I got this Lark. It's a R2 Lark, has a Bonnie type engine in it. It's got a supercharger on it. It's a 289, got a 4-speed 411 rear end right now. We race it at the Pure Stock Muscle Car races in Stanton, Michigan. That's one. And we go to Martin, Michigan. We've been to Norwalk, Ohio, Byron, Illinois, several places, and raced. And we have a lot of fun with it. And it surprises a lot of people because they had no idea Studebaker ever made a car like this. And this is not the best one. This is an R2, as I said. They have an R3, and that motor is quite a bit better than this one, quicker and faster. It's got better camshaft, better heads, aluminum intake, and more compression ratio, higher, things such as that. So it's more powerful than this one. And we race it. A fellow from Nebraska owns it, George Krim. It's called a plain brown wrapper. And we race it at Stanton also. So they surprised quite a few people who had no idea Studebaker ever made a performance car like that.
So what kind of times would these cars turn?
This one here, the best it's ever turned, not at the Pure Stock drags, but at the home strip in Muncie one night when the air was good and all, they prepped the track. It ran at 1262 at 114.03 mile per hour. And at Stanton, I think the best has been, I'm not real sure what's the best up there is. It's in the 12s and 113 or something like that at Stanton, at the Pure Stock drags. The R3, called a plain brown wrapper, George Krim has, it ran 12, I think it was 1262 and 114 something at Stanton at the Pure Stock drags. The trouble we have is we can't get traction. You have to run, for what we race, you've got to run street tires. You can't run slicks or any cheater slicks or anything like that. And we just can't get traction, and just have to gamble coming off. You either spin a lot or you bulb a little. And we're working on that. I think next year we'll have it where we'll get better traction. That'll improve our quarter mile times by quite a bit, I hope.
All right, so tell me about the truck. What have you done with the...
Okay, when I bought the truck, it had a 259 engine in it, and it was shot. It had the hydraulic lift on the bed, and that didn't work. Brakes were shot. Wasn't much good about it except the body. And the body was decent. Like, I have painted it, but other than that, I haven't done anything to it. And I've got all the brakes and everything else redone on it. I put a 289 engine in it with a supercharger. So it's about like an R2, about like the car engine is. And it's got a 5-speed overdrive transmission. The rear end's a 583, new process. And it's been all these places hauled the car. I had a 51 bullet nose first, and I hauled it everywhere too. So it's got I don't know how many miles on it because the speedometer didn't work when I got it. And I bought another used speedometer, so how many miles got total, I don't know, but I would guess somewhere between 200,000 and 300,000, but I don't know.
Thank you, Ted. Another great story. And now we're looking at two Studebaker Larks. These are R1 4-speed Studebakers. One's a 63 and one's a 64. And I had a chance to talk to the owner of the 1963 R1 Lark.
My name is Craig Von Allman, and I've got a 1963 Studebaker Daytona hardtop. It's an R1 4-speed car, and this is the first R1 4-speed car from the production. The R1 is a 289 4-barrel carburetor with chrome trim, a little higher compression than a standard 289. And the 4-speed was an option on this car, but it was the first R1 4-speed hardtop produced by Studebaker. The one next to this car is the last R1 4-speed Daytona produced by Studebaker. So the first one and the last one are together at this show for the first time.
And what year is this?
This is a 1963. The last one is a 1964 Studebaker.
Thank you, Craig, as we spot this beautiful 1963 Alvante with an R2 engine, supercharged engine, and this car also has a great story. So let's talk to the owner, Steve Stethman, and he's going to tell us all about this Alvante with a supercharged engine.
Hello, I'm Steve Stethman. I'm from Blue Springs, Missouri, and this is my 63 Studebaker Alvante R2. Dan, if you want, I can show you the full history of the vehicle. We have it documented from before the purchase of the car. Wilbur received a letter from Studebaker March 6th of 63 inviting him to come drive this car. He liked it. He traded in his 56 Hawk. Here's the original order form for the car. There is the original sticker price of the vehicle. Here's the adding machine tape from the salesman, and that's what he got in trade for his 56 Hawk. We have the original window sticker. Here's all the paperwork that goes with the car, including the original banknote, the paid-off banknote, and here's the original title. This is all the warranty book that came with the vehicle, every piece of paperwork he received, all the way through to the point that a receipt for a supercharger. In 1982, he paid $625 to replace the supercharger, and then here's pictures of the restoration. So that's the history on this car. It was purchased in Belleville, Illinois at Andre's Motor Car Company, and it remained in the family. When he passed away, my father and my family inherited it, and then at that point we just took it apart, disassembled it, and we restored it back to its original condition. It's a 289 supercharged car, which is 289 horsepower out of the 289 Studebaker motor. 4-speed car, which is the only way the R2 came, and it's one of 645 that were built. So, and it's a different vehicle. Nobody knows what they are. Nobody recognizes them. So everybody's got to come check it out, and it's just a blast to drive.
Tell me a little bit about driving this. How fast is one of these Alvantes?
Oh, it'll go. The Alvante set the speed record at Bonneville for 200 miles an hour. This one, I've had it to 100. The mechanic that built the motor, put the motor in. It was built at a machine shop that the guy came out of retirement to build it. He said the specs on this motor are so close to the factory Studebaker race motor. He had it out on the interstate, and he said at 120, it still wasn't anywhere close to stop going, and he said that's when he decided to shut it down. So this car, it'll get up and go. You can hammer on it all you want. It wants to run. It's just a fun car to drive. A little different with manual brakes and manual steering, but as long as you're not going slow, it's okay. And in fact, if you look inside it at the sun visors, it still has the original plastic wrapped on the sun visors. That was never taken off when he picked the car up.
Thank you, Steve. As we take a look at all the Studebakers at the Muscle Car and Corvette Nationals, each and every one of them has a great story. Somewhere along the line, maybe I'll get to hear those stories. But this has been a great show, great information, great cars right here in Rosemont, Donald Stevens Center, as we spot this 57 Ford Thunderbird. Now, the Thunderbird never became a great car like the Corvette, but I should point out that Henry Ford built a modern V8 engine in 1932. A V8 wasn't available in a Chevrolet until 1955. So we can conclude that Ford beat Chevrolet to the muscle car game by 23 years. As we look around the hall, this was a great show. For more information on the Muscle Car and Corvette National, their website is mcacn.com. The dates for 2019 will be November 23rd and 24th. To get a hold of me, and I'm interested in your comments, my email is teamdan45@gmail.com. You can always search on YouTube with Dan Schmitt Motorcycle Racing for great motorcycle racing action.